Have you ever studied English for years but still feel scared to speak? You know the words, you understand people, but when it's your turn, your mind goes blank. I've been there too. That moment when you want to speak, but fear takes over. Today, I want to talk about that fear, the fear of speaking English, why it happens, and how you can finally break free from it. Because confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build, step by step, word by word, moment by moment. In this episode, I'll share real tips and small daily actions to help you speak freely. We'll explore why mistakes are part of learning, not signs of failure. So, take a deep breath, relax, and listen closely. You're not alone in this journey. Together, we'll find your voice, your rhythm, and your confidence in English. Let's begin. Let's be honest. Speaking English can be scary. Even if you've studied for years, it can still make your heart race. Why is that? Why do so many of us freeze the moment we need to speak? It's not about grammar. It's not even about vocabulary. It's about fear. The fear of being judged, of sounding wrong, of not being understood. When we speak a new language, we step out of our comfort zone. And that can feel like standing on stage with all eyes on us. You start thinking, what if I say something wrong? What if people laugh? And just like that, your voice disappears. I remember talking to a student once. She could write essays in perfect English, but avoided conversations. When I asked why, she said, I'm scared people will think I'm stupid. That broke my heart because she wasn't stupid at all. She just didn't trust herself. And I think that's something many of us share. We doubt our own voice. We compare ourselves to others. We hear someone speak fast, fluent, and natural, and we think, I'll never sound like that. But here's the truth. That person once sounded just like you. Everyone starts somewhere. Even native speakers make mistakes. Every single day. You just don't notice it because they keep talking. They don't stop to correct every little thing. They laugh, move on, and continue. That's confidence. Another reason speaking feels so hard is because we don't get enough practice. We study reading, writing, grammar, but we rarely speak. So when we finally have to say something, it feels strange. Our mouth isn't used to forming the words. Our brain panics, and our tongue forgets what to do. That's not lack of ability, it's lack of habit. Speaking is a muscle. If you don't use it, it gets weak. But once you start using it every day, it gets stronger and stronger. And then there's the accent, that little voice saying, my accent is bad. Let me tell you something important. Accents are beautiful. They tell a story, your story. Everyone has one, even native speakers. An American from New York sounds different from one in Texas. A British person from London sounds different from one in Scotland. So why should you be ashamed of yours? Your accent shows where you come from and how far you've come. It's not something to hide. It's something to be proud of. I used to feel embarrassed about my accent when speaking Spanish. But one day, a friend told me, your accent makes you sound charming. That changed everything. Instead of trying to erase it, I started embracing it. And you know what? I spoke more because I finally realized people don't care about your accent. They care about your message. So if you're listening right now and feel nervous, please remember this. You're not alone. Every learner feels the same fear. Even confident speakers had shaky voices once. The key isn't to wait until you feel ready, because you never really will. The key is to start speaking, even when you're scared. Say something, anything. Every word you say is a small victory. Every sentence is a step forward. Confidence doesn't come first. Speaking does. And confidence follows. Little by little, mistake by mistake, word by word. You grow, you learn, you improve. So next time you hesitate, take a deep breath and just speak. Your English doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. And that's more than enough. Let's talk about something important: mistakes. We all make them, and yet we fear them so much. It's funny, isn't it? Mistakes are how we learn, but we treat them like enemies. When you were a child learning your first language, did you worry about grammar? Of course not. You just spoke. You tried. You laughed when you got it wrong. And that's exactly how you learned. But as adults, we start judging ourselves. We expect perfection. We think, if I make a mistake, I'll look stupid. And that belief kills confidence before it even begins. Here's the truth: confident people make mistakes all the time. The difference is, they don't let those mistakes stop them. They see them as part of the process. They laugh, correct themselves, and move on. That's how learning really happens, through doing, not fearing. I remember when I was learning Spanish, I made a huge mistake. I wanted to say, "I'm embarrassed," but instead I said, "I'm pregnant." The waiter looked surprised, and then everyone laughed, including me. In that moment, I realized something powerful. Nobody was judging me. They knew I was learning. The only one judging me was me. From that day, I stopped taking my mistakes so seriously. They became stories, not failures. Maybe you've had moments like that too. Saying something wrong, mixing up words, forgetting a phrase, and maybe you felt ashamed or nervous after. But think about it. Those moments are proof that you're trying. You can't make mistakes if you're not speaking at all. And speaking, even imperfectly, is what brings real progress. Native speakers make mistakes too. They say the wrong words, forget grammar rules, and laugh about it. They don't stop talking just because of one error. So why should you? Confidence isn't about never being wrong. It's about staying calm when you are. It's about saying, "Oops, that's not what I meant," and carrying on. Imagine this: you're in a conversation. You say something wrong. Instead of panicking, you smile and say, "Oh, I meant to say," you fix it, and the other person smiles back. That small moment, that calm correction, is confidence in action. And every time you do that, your brain learns, "It's okay, I can handle this." Soon, your fear of mistakes starts to fade. Here's a secret: mistakes are actually a sign of progress. Each one is a step forward, not backward. It means you're practicing, you're experimenting, you're growing. Think of them like tiny lights on the path to fluency, each one guiding you closer to your goal. So next time you make a mistake, don't apologize for learning. Smile, repeat the correct version, keep going. You'll notice something magical. The more you speak, the less you care about errors. And when that happens, your English starts to flow naturally. You stop chasing perfection and start focusing on communication. And that's when real confidence appears. Confidence doesn't come from avoiding mistakes. It comes from surviving them. Every time you mess up and try again, you build a little more courage. It's like building a muscle. Repetition makes it stronger. So, the next time you stumble, remember this: you're not failing, you're improving. You're showing up, learning, and growing. Be kind to yourself. Laugh at your mistakes. Celebrate them. Because they are proof that you're doing something brave. You're speaking another language. And that, my friend, is something to be proud of. So take a deep breath, let go of fear, and speak anyway. Because mistakes aren't your enemies, they're your teachers, and they're leading you straight toward confidence. Now that we've talked about mistakes, let's move to something powerful: practice. If you want to speak English with confidence, you have to speak every day, not once a week, not only in class, every single day, even if it's just 1 minute. I know that sounds simple, maybe too simple, but that's exactly why it works. Confidence isn't built by thinking about speaking. It's built by actually doing it again and again, like brushing your teeth or drinking water. Make it part of your routine. You don't need a partner or a teacher to practice. You can start right where you are right now. For example, when you're cooking, say out loud what you're doing. I'm cutting vegetables. I'm making coffee. I'm hungry. It might sound silly, but it trains your brain to think in English. And soon it becomes natural. You can also talk to yourself. Yes, I mean it. Have conversations with yourself in English. Ask questions and answer them out loud. What time is it? It's almost 7. What should I eat? Maybe noodles. You'll be surprised how much vocabulary you already know. One of my favorite methods is shadowing. That means listening to a native speaker and repeating right after them. It could be a YouTube video, a podcast, or even your favorite movie scene. Try to copy their rhythm, tone, and pronunciation, like you're acting the role. It feels strange at first, but it's fun. And it helps your mouth get used to the flow of English. Here's another great idea. Record yourself speaking. Yes, it might feel awkward the first few times. Nobody likes hearing their own voice at the beginning. But it's one of the most powerful tools for improvement. When you record yourself, you can hear how you really sound. You'll notice what's clear, what's not, and what you can adjust. And you'll also realize that you're much better than you thought. Start small, 1 minute a day. Talk about anything, your breakfast, your day, your plans. Over time, increase it to 5 minutes, then 10. The key is consistency, not perfection. It's okay to make mistakes while speaking. That's the whole point. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes. Let me tell you a quick story. One of my students, Hannah, used to be afraid of speaking. She always waited until she felt ready, but ready never came. So we made a deal. She had to record herself speaking for just 1 minute every morning. The first week she was nervous. The second week she started smiling while speaking. By the third week she said, I actually enjoy this now. And today she gives presentations in English at work. All it took was 1 minute a day. That's the magic of daily practice. You don't need hours. You need consistency. You need to show up even on days you don't feel like it, because those are the days that build your confidence the most. Every time you speak, you send a message to your brain. I can do this. And the more you send that message, the stronger it becomes. So, how can you start today? After this episode, pick one simple activity and speak out loud for 1 minute. Describe what you see. Talk about your plans. Repeat a line from a movie. Don't worry about mistakes. Don't worry about how you sound. Just speak, because practice is where confidence begins. And if you make speaking a daily habit, even in tiny doses, you'll wake up one day realizing that English doesn't scare you anymore. It feels normal, comfortable, yours. That's when you'll know. You're not just learning English, you're living it. Let's talk about something that can instantly change the way you speak, your speed. Many learners believe that speaking fast means speaking well, but that's not true at all. In fact, some of the most confident and respected speakers in the world speak slowly. They take their time, they breathe, they let every word land with purpose. When you rush, your brain races ahead of your mouth. You start losing control, forgetting words, mixing grammar, and panicking. But when you slow down, you give yourself space to think clearly. You sound more confident, more in control, and easier to understand. It's not about sounding like a native, it's about being understood and feeling calm. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I met a student named Leo. He had great English, but every time he spoke, it sounded like a race. His sentences ran together, and people often asked him to repeat. He thought the problem was vocabulary, but really, it was his speed. So we worked on speaking slower. At first, it felt unnatural to him. He said, I sound like a robot? But after a few weeks, something amazing happened. People stopped asking him to repeat. They understood him perfectly. And more importantly, Leo said, I finally feel calm when I speak. That's what slowing down can do for you. Here's the secret. Fast doesn't mean fluent. Confidence comes from clarity, not speed. When you speak slowly, you're not just giving your brain time, you're also giving your listener time to follow your thoughts, and that creates connection. People don't remember how fast you spoke, they remember how you made them feel. If you want to practice speaking slowly, try this simple exercise. Stand in front of a mirror and say a short sentence, like, "My name is Emily. I love learning English." Then say it again, slower, clearer, with pauses. Watch your face, your mouth, your smile. Feel the rhythm of your own speech. It might feel awkward at first, but it builds awareness. You'll start noticing how each word connects naturally to the next. Another great habit is to breathe between thoughts. When you finish a sentence, take a short pause before the next one. Those little moments of silence are not mistakes, they're confidence. They show that you're comfortable with your message. Even native speakers pause to think. So don't rush to fill the silence, own it. Try listening to good public speakers or podcast hosts. Notice how they pause, emphasize certain words, and speak with rhythm. They use silence as part of their communication. And that's something you can practice too. You don't have to copy their accent, just their confidence in pacing. Speaking slowly also helps your pronunciation. When you take your time, you pronounce each sound more clearly. Your words become sharper, and your message becomes stronger. You'll find that people start nodding more, listening more closely. That's because they can actually understand you. And that feels amazing. So, next time you speak English, remember this: you don't need to rush to sound fluent. You need to slow down to sound confident. Pause, breathe, smile, then speak. Let your words carry meaning, not just speed. And if you ever feel nervous, take a breath and remind yourself: slow is smooth, and smooth becomes confident. Because when you speak slowly and clearly, people don't just hear your words, they hear your message, your energy, and your heart. And that's what true communication is all about. Let's talk about something that stops many learners from speaking: perfection. We all want to sound smart, fluent, and correct. But sometimes, that desire for perfection becomes a trap. It keeps us silent, afraid to make a mistake, afraid to look imperfect. Here's the truth: English is not about being perfect, it's about communication. You're not taking an exam, you're connecting with people. And connection doesn't need big words or flawless grammar. It needs clarity, honesty, and confidence. I remember one of my students, Mai. She always waited before answering questions. When I asked why, she said, "I'm trying to think of the perfect sentence." But while she was thinking, the moment passed. She never got the chance to share her thoughts. That's what perfectionism does. It steals your voice. Here's the secret: simple English is powerful English. You don't need complicated words to sound intelligent. The best communicators use short, clear sentences. For example, instead of saying, "I endeavor to commence my daily routine," just say, "I start my day." It's simple, direct, and natural. Your goal is not to impress people, it's to connect with them. And when you stop chasing perfection, something amazing happens. You start enjoying the conversation. You listen more. You laugh more. You speak more freely. You stop worrying about the next word because you trust yourself. Let me tell you a personal story. When I first started speaking Spanish, I was terrified of sounding stupid. I wanted every sentence to be perfect. So, I spoke less and less until one day my friend told me, "Emily, we don't care if your grammar is wrong. We just want to talk to you." That sentence changed everything for me. I realized people care more about connection than correctness. After that, I started speaking more, and suddenly my Spanish improved faster. Perfection was never the goal. Progress was. You might think using simple words makes you sound basic, but actually, it makes you sound confident. It shows that you know what you want to say and how to say it clearly. Even native speakers use simple English most of the time. They don't speak like textbooks, they speak like humans. Here's a fun exercise. Try explaining something simple, like how to make coffee, using only basic words. No big vocabulary, no complex grammar. You'll realize that communication is not about fancy language. It's about expressing your thoughts clearly. And remember, when you don't know a word, describe it. For example, if you forget the word umbrella, you can say the thing you use when it rains. Guess what? People will understand you. That's real communication. That's confidence. So next time you hesitate because you can't find the perfect word, just use the words you already know. Don't pause. Don't freeze. Keep speaking. The more you use English, the easier it becomes. And soon, you'll notice that fluency comes from freedom, not perfection. Perfectionism is like carrying a heavy backpack. It slows you down and makes the journey harder. But when you let go of it, you move faster, lighter, happier. And speaking English starts to feel natural, not stressful. So take this with you today. You don't need to be perfect to be confident. You just need to be brave enough to speak. Use simple words. Speak with heart. Laugh at mistakes. Because English is not a performance, it's a conversation. And you deserve to be part of it. Now, let's make this personal. Confidence doesn't grow from rules or books. It grows from real moments. Moments when you speak, stumble, laugh, and realize you survived. I still remember the first time I spoke French in public. I was standing in a bakery in Paris trying to order a croissant. My hands were sweating, my heart was racing. I knew the words, but somehow they disappeared when I opened my mouth. I took a deep breath and said, Bonjour, je veux un croissant, s'il vous plaît. The woman smiled and said something fast in French that I didn't catch. I froze, nodded awkwardly, and she handed me the pastry. It wasn't perfect, but I did it, and that tiny success felt huge. That moment gave me a spark. Maybe I can actually do this. That's how confidence grows, one small win at a time. Not from memorizing, not from waiting to be ready, but from speaking when you feel nervous and realizing the world didn't end. I once had a student named Lynn. She told me she was terrified of speaking English. She said, Emily, I can read and write, but when I speak, my brain goes blank. So we started small. Every day she had to speak English for just 2 minutes. Sometimes it was about her breakfast, sometimes about her cat. At first she sounded shy and quiet, but after a few weeks her voice became stronger. Then one day she said, I talked to a tourist today, and he understood me. Her face was glowing. That was her moment. Not perfect grammar, not fancy words, just courage in action. You see, confidence is built from these small, brave moments. You don't need to move to another country. You don't need to speak for hours. You just need to try, again and again. And here's something important: people are kinder than you think. We often imagine others judging us, but in reality, most people admire anyone trying to speak another language. They see your effort, not your mistakes. When I spoke Spanish with my broken grammar, my friends didn't laugh. They encouraged me. They helped me find the right words. And that support made me want to speak even more. So if you've ever felt embarrassed after making a mistake, remember this. People aren't focused on your errors. They're listening to your message, your emotion, your energy. The only person criticizing you is usually yourself. Let that go. Be your own supporter, not your biggest critic. Confidence doesn't appear overnight. It's not a switch you turn on. It's a seed you water. Every time you speak, even just a few words, that seed grows a little more. Every hello, every how are you, every sorry, can you repeat, is another drop of water helping it bloom. And then one day, without realizing it, you'll speak naturally. You'll laugh mid-conversation, tell a story, ask a question, and it will just flow. That's when you'll look back and think, wow, I've come so far. So here's my challenge for you. Create your own small win. Order your coffee in English. Ask for directions. Start a short chat online. Don't wait for perfection. Just start, because every little victory matters. And the more you collect them, the stronger your confidence becomes. Remember, courage comes before confidence. You don't wait until you're confident to speak. You speak, and that's how confidence finds you. So go ahead, make your moment. Speak up, smile, and let your English live outside your head. You'll be amazed how far one brave sentence can take you. Now that we've talked about mindset and small wins, let's get practical. Let's talk about what you can actually do every day to build real confidence. Because confidence doesn't come from thinking, it comes from action. Here are a few simple speaking exercises you can try right after this episode. You don't need a classroom, a teacher, or even a partner. All you need is your voice and a few minutes of courage. The first one is called Describe What You See. Look around you right now and start naming things in English. Say, there's a chair, the window is open, my coffee smells good. It might feel strange at first, but it trains your brain to think in English. Soon, it will feel as natural as describing things in your native language. The second one is Tell your day like a story. At the end of the day, spend 1 or 2 minutes retelling what happened. Say, I woke up at 7. I went to work. I met my friend for lunch. It doesn't have to be perfect or interesting, just consistent. This helps your brain organize thoughts in English and builds fluency fast. Next, try mirror talk. Stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and start speaking. Say, Hi, my name is Emily. I'm learning English. I'm doing my best. It may sound funny, but it's powerful. You're not just training your mouth, you're training your mindset. When you see yourself speaking confidently, your brain starts to believe it. Another great one is shadowing. Find a short video or podcast in English that you enjoy. Listen to 1 or 2 sentences, pause, and repeat exactly what you heard. Try to match the tone, rhythm, and pronunciation. It's like singing along with language. You'll sound more natural and fluent over time. And it's actually fun once you get into it. Finally, one of my favorites, record yourself. Pick a topic like your favorite food, your weekend, or your goals. Speak for 1 minute and record it on your phone. Then listen back, not to judge yourself, but to notice your progress. You'll hear how much you've improved, and it will motivate you to keep going. These 5 exercises, describe, retell, mirror, shadow, and record, are your daily toolkit. Do 1 or 2 each day. Keep it short, but consistent. You'll be amazed how quickly your confidence grows when you practice out loud. One of my students, Tom, used to avoid speaking completely. He said, I feel stupid talking to myself. But I told him, You're not talking to yourself. You're training your voice. He started doing mirror talk for 1 minute every morning. After 2 weeks, he came to class smiling and said, I'm not scared anymore. That's the power of small, consistent action. Here's the truth. You can't think your way into confidence. You have to speak your way into it. And the more you use your voice, the more natural it feels. At first, your voice might shake. Then it becomes steady. Soon you'll notice that English isn't something you study. It's something you live. So, after listening to this episode, choose one exercise. Don't wait for tomorrow. Do it now, today. Even 1 minute of practice is better than zero, because that 1 minute is another brick in the wall of your confidence. Keep stacking those minutes, and one day you'll realize you're speaking freely. Remember, confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from showing up. So speak, even when you're scared. Practice, even when you're tired, because every small effort adds up to something big. And soon, you'll look back and smile at how far you've come. Before we finish, I want you to remember something simple. Confidence doesn't appear overnight. It grows with every word you speak. Some days will be easy and others will feel hard. That's okay. because every time you speak, even when you're nervous, you're getting stronger. Every mistake, every pause, every small effort matters. You don't need to sound perfect. You just need to be brave, enough to try. So, take a deep breath and say it out loud. Your English, your way. The world doesn't need perfection. It needs your voice. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep speaking. Because the more you speak, the more your confidence will shine. Thank you for joining me today. You're doing amazing. Until next time, keep speaking with heart and never stop believing in yourself.